everyone. Good morning. It is bright and early on this sunny day. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and I'm here today to chat, I guess. I'm planning on chatting about a lot of different things as I work on doing some unraveling. I have this, good morning, I have this ball of, well, it's a crochet chain, and I need to unravel it for a video that's coming up. If you are a ChemKnits patron, you might have already seen the sneak peek that involved the dyeing of this yarn. I'm not going to talk too much more about the specifics today because the episode will be coming out soon. But if you are a patron or want to become a patron, you can learn a little bit more about this project. But I just have to unravel it, and I figured that would be a fine time to come on and chat. I am assembling or disassembling some of my PVC pipe nitty knotties so that way I can do this. But yeah, I hope that you guys are all doing really, really well. Okay, can't get it in. Oh, goodness. Oh, summer. But anyway, so there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Some positive things. I'm planning to start writing more on the ChemKnits blog again. The blog and my website is what started it all, and the ChemKnits, as all of this is actually going to turn 10 years old. Oh, Pauline, I just got started, so you're not that late. ChemKnits is actually going to turn 10 years old this December, which is mind-boggling that I have been doing this for, almost a whole decade now. But of course, things have evolved. So there's new stuff from just the way social media and people interact with that and more. So I have been spending a lot more time here on the YouTube channel than I have on the website in recent time. But I have a plan to start posting on the website more regularly again. And oh dear Lord, do I have a knot? Not really. Ha ha ha, not really. Let me see. It's not actually a knot, I don't think. There we go. I'm just a little trapped. So I'm going to start posting there a little more regularly. I have a backlog. Oh goodness, the backlog. I have a backlog of projects that I want to post on the blog because I keep track of costumes I make, t-shirts I make for the kids, knitting projects, and all kinds of things. And I've just been slow to edit the pictures so that way they're not super huge when I upload them, and all kinds of things. So I'm excited to sort of unveil this new plan, which isn't something super extreme, but I think that it'll help tie in. It'll give me a place to ground myself, because I think between YouTube and then there's Instagram and Facebook, and things on YouTube often come up with a bit of a delay because I film things and then they come out months later. But Instagram and Facebook are pretty up to this is what I'm working on right now. And so I think that I'm planning to use the blog as a way to bridge those and sort of connect and center what's happening, what's new, what's newly published, and things like that. So that is my plan with that. So I'm excited because I just had that epiphany, because I always had on my list to write some blog posts, and it wasn't as much writer's block as much as, okay, I have these other things I need to work on, or there's just so much content that I'm generating more and more content. How am I ever going to talk about all this on the blog? And so then I realized if I do these more of as a not status update or recap, that sort of unlocks some of the pressure to then go back through some of the older projects. So I am really, really excited about that. You've been following me since I was a Roush. Haha. It's funny because that's not like the Roush isn't part of my legal name anymore, but I still have it on the website because Brown is fairly common. And there's a lot of Rebecca Browns out there. And so there are a lot of Rebecca Roushes out there too, but it's a lot less common. So I just had my, what was it, our 7th wedding anniversary. So that means you've been following me for a really long time. That's awesome. So there's a lot of like good and not bad, but just different stuff sort of like in all the behind the scenes stuff right now. So good news, Knit Picks finally restocked. So we've got Stroll, Swish, Wool of the Andes. They're all back. And a new baby here in Boston. That's awesome. Yeah, so all of these bear yarns that we love are back in stock, which is fantastic. It's been a while. I've been waiting on this because I was starting to run low. And these are all of my favorite yarns. But the unfortunate thing is that Knit Picks raised the prices on some of these yarns. And I knew this was coming because when things were in my cart, if I went and I looked at the page, I was like, that's not the price things used to be. And so I think a lot of them were raised about $1, which is a much bigger deal for Wool of the Andes because it's now, I think, one skein of Wool of the Andes is about $5 instead of, I don't know if it was, I don't remember exactly what it was before because I have to go look at the bulk prices, but it went up $1 a skein. And so proportionally that's bigger than say the Swish and Stroll increases, which proportionally are less. And I mean, I don't think that the Bear Wool of the Andes has had a price increase in a long time. So I'm not angry with Knit Picks or anything. It's just that coupled with the new Etsy price increases, it means that I have to sort of go back to the drawing board when it comes to my pricing models for my shop. So some of you I know are Etsy sellers, but for those of you that aren't, Etsy just recently announced that they are going to increase their okay, I'm going to blank on which one's I think the processing fee are the ones that the payments charge, but they're going to increase their transaction fee. I don't remember which one's which, but they're increasing the percentage that Etsy is taking home, which is minor and not a big deal. The bigger deal is that they are going to now take a fee off of shipping charges, which is, to keep people, because some people were listing items for really low and then putting like the more cost in the processing field or something. And so they're trying to curb, I guess, fee avoidance, but it's hard because most Etsy sellers were not making any profit off of shipping. Like the shipping fee all goes to paying for shipping, but then we have to raise shipping prices to account for these new fees. And where this will really hurt is for international customers, because this additional 5% that Etsy's taking on shipping makes a bigger deal if you're looking at $15, $20 shipping charges. And so that is, it's something that maybe I wouldn't have even been talking, there was a comment that I missed. Wool to Die For raised their prices 2 to 3 months ago. Yeah, I think that actually, who knows if new import fees, I don't even know. People are having, costs are going up around the board, and it's sort of trickling down to people like me. And, I think that Etsy's price increases bring it more on par with the sort of processing and transaction fees from Kickstarter and Patreon and things like that. So it's not like that Like it wasn't as big of a hit for me as I feel like it is for some other people, but it's still, the shipping stuff kind of bugs me. I'm like, especially because I buy my shipping labels through Etsy. So it would be nice if like they didn't take the fee if you're buying the shipping labels through them or something. But they're doing it to try to, actually, I think they're doing it to try to get more of us to include free shipping in our prices, which I think that would be really hard for me to do, because a lot of people will buy multiple skeins of yarn, and yeah, it would just be really, really tricky for me to try to do that. So anyway, the long and short of it is that I'm going to need to, given that the 3 yarn lines that I use the most, Wool of the Andes, Stroll, and Swish, all of them have seen a price increase. This means I'm going to need to go through and recalculate my pricing model, and that at the beginning of July, I will be adjusting. My crochet chain got stuck. See, you make it look like you're a knot, but you're really not a knot. There we go. So at the beginning of July, I will be adjusting prices on the ChemKnits Creations store. That's not necessarily huge, but I figured I share a lot of the behind the scenes stuff here anyway, and I sent a message to patrons and everything today, and I could have just absorbed this silently and just done it and not talked about it, but when it comes to, and let me just drop the link in case you want to go check out the shop. And so I guess I'll also add that I'm not going to increase prices until the beginning of July, so if there's something you have your eye on, you might want to get it now. In terms of transparency, like and some people in the ChemKnits Lab group and stuff will ask us too about how to determine your prices. And the way that I did it was I set up a spreadsheet to look at my costs. So the yarn, the dye, the gloves, plastic wrap, anything disposable that I might use for the dyeing process. I look at, I think I probably said the yarn itself, like packaging fees, like the cost of bags, labels, the little ribbon I use I put these to do my little tags and stuff. And then there's the processing fees, which are, the cut that Etsy takes for letting me use their service. The credit card processing fees, listing fees, things like that. And then labor is the final big cost. And when you're a one-person show, labor and profit are very much intermixed. Like if I was running a shop and I was having to pay someone for their labor to dye yarn or something, then that would have to be worked in when you consider profit, but it's a little muddier when you are the labor. Good morning. Yeah, so I have the spreadsheet worked out, and so then I could put in different listing prices and then see okay, is what left over, is that value one that is reasonable for the amount of labor that goes into this yarn, and does this is this a value that I think is a reasonable value for the time it took me to dye that particular yarn. And the reason why things are a little more complicated for me is that very frequently I'm dyeing one skein of yarn at a time. Let's see. Actually, some of these aren't. Okay. Well, this one. I just worked on editing this video. This resist glazed chroma that I did. I only did one of these. And so maybe if I was doing 2 or 3, the additional time wouldn't necessarily be that much bigger, but doing one at a time, I can't really it just makes things a little more complicated. And right before I launched in April, I had all this worked out, and Was really, really happy with the way things worked out. And then all these like cost changes and fee changes. Oh, thank you. This is like my happy summer dress. So yeah, I think that it's all, and I mean, I know there are a lot of people who are really, really upset about the Etsy fees. And it's really like the fee on the shipping that was kind of just like a huge blow to sellers, because in a lot of times these changes will be maybe like an addition, sometimes only additional 60 cents or something, but it adds up, and you have to weigh, as like a seller, you have to weigh, okay, do I try to absorb this increase, or do I pass it on to my customers in some kind of way? And so basically all of this rambling comes down to, at the beginning of July, I will be modestly increasing some of, not all, but some of the yarn in the shop, the cost of some of the yarn in the shop, and I will, some of the shipping fees will also have to increase, just to, take all this into account. And you guys know, because if you're watching me right now, then you know what I do, and with the channel and everything, that my dye costs and materials costs vary a lot from video to video. Like, for example, if I'm dyeing with candy, that might be a lot more expensive than, say, acid dyes, or if I'm doing the tie-dye pens or something like that. But I decided that I was going to price things based on the yarn base, and sort of the dyes and stuff sort of average out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I understand. The pricing can be like, hand dyed yarn in general is expensive, and so this isn't really to, like, if there's many ways that you guys can support the channel, and the biggest way is interacting with the videos, watching, commenting. Like, that's a huge way to support me. And I think that I think that in general, like, there's no regrets if you cannot, if you don't want to buy a skein, or you can't swing it. That is all, there's totally understandable for me. And then especially sometimes when you get hit with, the people I feel the worst for right now are the international customers who, it's impossible for me to know, and for you to always know, if you're going to get hit with import fees, because I think sometimes they come up a bit randomly, and so it's just hard. And I will continue to offer international shipping, but I totally understand. I totally understand. Actually, this yarn is looking so cool. Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't buy independently dyed yarn for a long time myself, because I was like, man, that's, it can be a lot for someone's budget, especially when you can dye your own. You think dye companies should send me product for free? Yeah, I mean, I have, I realized that so I've got an indigo dyeing project coming soon, and a company, a US-based company that grows their own indigo, they sent me some so that way I could play with it. And I realized that the vat that I was going to set up was more based for cellulose fibers. So I went and I ordered a lot more cotton, so that way I could take care of it. So that way I can do that, but that's coming up. And so they did send me some dye. And Knit Picks, they don't send me yarn, but I am an affiliate. So if you shop at Knit Picks, I do get, and if any of you, I know some of you are also have channels and things like that. If you would like me to chat with you about being an affiliate for some of these companies, I'd be happy to talk more about that. But So they don't send me yarn, but I get commission for referring other people to buying the yarn. And so, with the Knit Picks, it's really natural for me because I've been buying their products for years. I think I discovered them maybe about a decade ago, not too long after I started the blog, or maybe just before I started the blog. And so the first 100% wool yarn I ever dyed was a Knit Picks yarn. So, I have a long history with them. And I think that if I was going to be just running a shop and not doing these videos as my primary focus, maybe I would shop around to look for some different options for some of my yarn bases. But I like to vary the yarn bases I dye so that way we can all learn. And for example, let me show you. So this is the new cotton boucle that Knit Picks just released. And I dyed this the other day, and I just went and I bought 5 more. And this is one that, it's funny, I didn't know what a fan I was of dyeing cotton yarn until you guys kept asking for more cotton videos, and so then I did the cellulose week. But this yarn is just beautiful. And the other day someone said that, they wish that you could do that on like wool. Well, here's the cotton, here is the stroll base. The hues are a little different, but some of the effects are very similar. So this video, hopefully I'll go edit today. We'll see. So it's just, I like sharing this information because I think that this is all part of the learning process for everyone. And computer. Yeah. Oh, thank you for becoming a patron. Yeah, no, and for those of you in the UK, I especially, I wish I could have the fees cheaper. Have you considered doing a video at some point on the difference between dyeing wool to spin versus dyeing directly on yarn? I don't think I've ever dyed roving and yarn in the same video, but that's a really interesting idea. When it comes to spinning, I typically prefer to dye the roving and then spin it versus the other way, because I think that it gives like a really nice way to blend and combine the colors in your hand spun. But I think that that would be a fun thing to do. I need to start doing some more spinning again now that my foot has healed so I can treadle. Yes. You have that. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I guess since we're, oh, good, I'm glad. I'm really, really happy to inspire, and I'm happy to, oh man, it's funny because I feel like in these last few months when I look, I'm not making sense. There have been, it's hard sometimes for me to find like a center and a focus. And through the years when I've had health trouble and other stuff, ChemKnits has always been there and a consistent place for me. And I can't believe it's going to be 10 years old. I can't believe, in 10 years, I got my PhD, I got married, I had 2 kids, got a dog, we moved, we bought a house. Like, there's been a lot of, ChemKnits has just been there plugging along through all of this. And yeah, there's, I've talked about in the past, there's many, many ways for people to support me, but you can support ChemKnits without contributing financially. If you are interested, there's plenty of ways you can contribute financially. You can become a patron. There's a link to the Patreon in the description. You can buy yarn through the Etsy store. You can give super chats on videos. You can buy patterns. I have some patterns in the Etsy store, although most of my designs are available for free on my website. But non-financial ways that you can support me include, liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, following me on Facebook and Instagram, things like that make a difference and, help me like in small ways, in small ways, it helps more people find my videos, but then in larger ways, oh, come on. There we go. In larger ways, having followers gets me noticed by companies. And so then sometimes they give me opportunities and things like that. So you interacting with my videos is the biggest single way that you can support me. And I greatly, greatly appreciate that. But when it comes to the shop, and it's sometimes the shop, it feels less natural for me to promote the shop sometimes, especially because if I dye yarn and I share the video, I might only have one skein of that available. But what I like to say is, I show you how I dye yarn in videos, and I talk through and I show you exactly how I made it. And so, if it works for you, you can buy yarn dyed in a video and think of it as giving a contribution to the channel, but then you get yarn in return. And so that's, I guess, one way to think about it. But I love my focus these days, and my plan is to primarily make videos. And that is my plan. I'm not really interested in running a shop for the shop's sake. I like doing these dyeing projects and creating new pretties like this. Yeah, I have a PhD in biochemistry and molecular pharmacology. No big deal. I think that's where I started the blog while I was in grad school, and so I think some of my perspective comes from my training. And then, well, I've talked about this sometimes in the past, but then I got sick. And so as I was finishing up my degree, it's hard to say diagnosed when it's a diagnosed by exclusion, but I have chronic fatigue syndrome, which has, basically, if you're familiar with spoon theory, I start off the day with, if everything you do each day takes a spoon, I have fewer spoons at the beginning of the day than I used to. And I frequently will start the day, I don't feel restored by sleep all the time. Thankfully, the condition hasn't worsened much over the last, that is coming up on close to a decade too. So, woohoo! Biochemistry rocks! So it's all been, Chemnitz was a saving grace when I was dealing with all that, because it was one thing where, when I felt like I couldn't do a lot, I've gone way off cycle with this. Okay, I got about halfway through before I got really, really twisted. That's not so bad. But the Chemnitz and knitting and everything has just been a saving grace through the illness and the annoying diagnosis or lack thereof. Because there's not really a test, but thankfully we were able to rule out everything else that's bad. So that was good at least, but it's some, yeah. Yep, I am a spoonie. Although I've never heard it called that before, but yeah, I'm lucky there's a lot I can do, but and honestly, I'm not sure, not that I'm like happy that I've gone through that or anything, but I don't think I would necessarily be where I am today if I hadn't gone through all this, because I don't think like if I hadn't been sick, probably after the PhD, I would have gone and gotten a job, and chemnitz would have still been there, but it would have been more of a hobby versus what I could put my time into. And I've gotten pretty good at finding a good balance and knowing what I can do and still function well, and what I can't do. And but it meant that until so it's hard. And then when we had kids, it's hard to know if like things have changed or not, just because kids come with their own level of exhaustion and stuff. But I have some of the anxiety that I have is probably unrelated to the CFS, but there's no doubt that there was some anxiety that has come up from it, because sometimes I have trouble making decisions and processing information. But that's why knitting has been helpful, because knitting doesn't always require planning. You kind of think one stitch at a time, one row at a time. And so even when things got bad, I could still knit. And so that is one way it's been helpful to me. Let's see. Yeah, I'm very lucky, and I haven't actually been able to see a rheumatologist because none ever wanted to see me because I don't have any pain, which actually isn't really true anymore. I've been having this hip pain for a while, but at the time I didn't have any joint pain, and so the rheumatologists were not interested in seeing me without those symptoms. So I've at least I don't have pain was like the one thing. And like having my mom has chronic pain from injury and other stuff, and so I've been lucky, I guess, that isn't there. You guys, thank you all for sharing. I guess I'm also just sharing. Okay, now I'm getting emotional. This isn't quite what I had planned on chatting about today. I was going to chat about Etsy as I was working to unravel, and it can be scary when you're going through something that isn't outwardly apparent. And it was never more obvious than when I broke my foot. Because when you're wearing a boot, people offer help. People see that, and when there's something that someone can see, they immediately understand that you might be in pain, that things might be harder from you. But I think that most of the people I know, just because this has been part of my life for so long, I think a lot of people that I know aren't aware that that I've been going through these medical things, and it's hard because it's hard when it's something that's invisible. It's hard also when you have something that's visible, and I really count my blessings, but it's hard for even Keith, bless his heart, it's hard for even him to understand sometimes when it's just all of a sudden I can't process things, or I can't deal with there being a decision to make. And so, you guys, hugs to all of you. I think that it is proven from studies that knitting therapy actually is helpful for brain chemistry and all kinds of things. But I think especially when I was struggling to get so much done, around the end of my degree, it just sort of hit me. I got sick it was January or March. I got a really bad cold, and then I basically never recovered. And And so I kept waiting to be recovered, and I was like, oh, maybe I need glasses. Maybe I need, like, I couldn't figure out why I couldn't focus. And I was really lucky that I had some doctors that took it really seriously. And, you know, I've got some good coping mechanisms now, but, so, yeah, knitting is great. And yeah, it's funny because when I look back, I was like, well, when I was a kid, there's a period of time where I wanted to be a writer, but I never considered myself to be that good with writing or something, but I also wanted to be a teacher. And it's kind of occurred to me that I've kind of become both. Like, I mean, when I was a kid, blogging didn't exist. But, you know, there's no doubt that I'm teaching. And so, yeah, it's nice. And I think that, gosh, I just remember last October when I was like, okay, I think I can manage to do one video a week. And then I started making so many, I was like, okay, I think I could do 2. And, you know, it's all about finding what is manageable, but then sometimes it means I have to let things go. And so it's all about, I guess, the balance. And yeah, and I honestly, when I started this, I was a little afraid of, like, before launching the Etsy store, I was a little afraid about, like, the commitment and everything. And, you know, I'm like, oh, will I be able to manage getting to the post office as needed, or having, you know, having my schedule, you know, having people to respond to, not under, you know, 100%, just like my control. Like, if I needed to take a step back, I could. And actually, I love shipping packages. Oh, it makes me so happy. It's almost as good as, like, receiving a package. Because then I know that, like, I don't know, that someone's going to get some happy yarn. So it's just, you know, but, all right, this is another one of those where, again, like, this is like, beginning of this was part of a Patreon early access video, but it is a little bit of a pain to undo. Thankfully, it hasn't become a pain until this stage, but, yeah. Sometimes we try new things and they work great, and other times I try new things and I don't necessarily recommend them. So that's just the way it goes. I don't even know if I'm going to finish this on camera, but I figured it would be good. I need to finish this today because I got to film the end of the video and I got to edit it. Not that it's coming out for a while, but then I can knock June off the list. June's done. July. So, but yeah, okay, so more positive things. I had so much fun doing these cellulose week videos, and I'd love to hear what other kinds of special weeks of dyeing you guys might want to see. So I'm not sure. So as I said, I'm going to be setting up this indigo vat. And I've got some other dyes. I think they sent me walnut and some other dyes as well that I want to play with. But so I don't know if that'll be a natural dyeing week or even just an indigo week or what. But, oh. Okay, I was like, there were things that popped back up, but they were old comments. But anyway, I think that I'd love, if there's another thing that you'd like me to focus on. So far, I guess we've done the Stock Link special. We've done Cellulose Week, the indigo dyeing's coming up. If there's anything that you think might lend itself nicely to a bunch of videos coming up all at once. I know cotton does get a bad rap. And I'm really, really glad. This was something that came about mainly from thanks to the patrons on Patreon, because twice in a row, when I did, every month I do a poll for patrons, so that way they can, I should back up. One of the perks that all patrons of Chemnitz get is early access to one new dyeing video a month. And I always like to do a poll at the beginning of a month to determine the theme for the next month's video, because I'm like, oh, I should film and dye what people want to see. And I think that from like the first two, the requests were around, like, I think people picked like a linen, and people wanted to see cotton. And I was like, oh, I haven't done a lot of cotton dyeing, mainly because I just haven't explored the dyes much, but apparently that's what people really do want to see. And so that's one of the reasons why I like interacting with you guys, is because it really can shape, I really do shape the direction of what I'm filming based on your comments and feedback. And so, yeah, even though sometimes it's scary to do new things. Like, I mean, I can admit this, but I know indigo dyeing, as soon as I set it up, I'm going to be like, why was I nervous? But I think I'm not nervous about setting up the vat. I think I'm nervous about not having enough projects prepped to take advantage of it, or, yeah, it's not that I'm nervous about a failure. Maybe I'm just nervous about making a big mess or not using the right mordant or something, but... oh yes, I was it you that suggested that before? I have on my list, and at some point I absolutely am going to go to the local thrift store and look for a sweater to do that. I also have plans to do a spinning video of spinning from felted fiber, because one of my friends sent me some fiber for a really fun spin along that I started right before I got injured. And then, actually, maybe I can do this. So I started that right before I got injured, but then obviously then I was injured, and so I couldn't finish it, but I was going to do a standalone video on spinning with felted roving, because it was a little like more work, but I guess I've been lucky, and I've never really felted my roving before. Oh, come on. I was trying to like put this in like some kind of half hitch so I could untwist it. Come on, let me... It's not tight enough. Nope, all I succeeded in doing was tying a knot in here to try to like hold it. I was like, I want to make it spin so that way I can like untwist it, but oh well. I'm curious. So this, can you see that we've got like a little, this is cool. It's not quite what I expected, but it's still pretty cool. You'd like to see the difference between alpaca and wool. Ooh, that would be fun. That would be really, really fun. I even have some 100% alpaca, and I haven't played. Oh my goodness, what did I do? I haven't played with that yet. This is just getting super twisted. Okay, I need to... Yeah, so far what I've seen is that the alpaca absorbs, and this is just from an alpaca wool nylon blend, the alpaca seems to absorb color a bit slower than the wool. And which way does this need to go? This way. So Found a Lazy Susan helps. Oh, that would be really, really smart. I'll have to look for one of those also when I'll look for a Lazy Susan when I go to the thrift store. Because right now I'm just manually untwisting. You like the idea of over dyeing reclaimed mystery yarns from unraveled thrift store sweaters. Yeah, so I think that I've never reclaimed from a sweater, and I would definitely want there to be some kind of tag. Although I suppose, oh, you know what else I have plans to do? I have plans to dye more synthetic fibers. I don't personally knit with synthetics that often. I mean, nylon is a synthetic, but I know that there are people who want to know more about dyeing acrylic and acrylic blends. So that's something on the docket, doing some more techniques with that. Yeah, where else was I? Oh, I was using an I-cord maker. And so on one hand, I've got this project I'm really excited about. I put an entire skein of sock yarn into an I-cord using like a little crank I-cord maker. But that thing took forever. That took, that took like multiple movies worth of work. And so therefore, because I think I saw someone on Ravelry did it to do a self-striping yarn, and I was like, oh, this is a great idea. And it is a great idea. It was just, at least that would be really easy to unravel. But it was just a lot of work. Hi! Glad you could join me. Yeah, and so I still have to, actually, my list of things I want to dye is really, really long. I mean, this isn't even like a spoon issue or anything really. It's more of just how much time is there in a day? Okay, come on. No, you guys are twisted. There we go. How much time is there in a day, and how much space is there in my dye pot? Because I feel like I keep getting distracted by, like, I've been playing so much with tie-dye lately, and so I was like, ooh, I need to do more of that. All right, I'm going to take a break from this guy. This is a really cool yarn. I feel like I've gone through about half of it or so, but needs to go on a timeout, and I probably should get back into the editing bay for a bit. Well, the wild chem knits. I'm not nitpicks. Yeah, so when I'm unraveling something that's two different strands, I like to use so my normal Nitty Naughty has like a 12-inch piece on the inside, so I make a 4-foot skein. But when I'm unraveling two at a time, rather than having it in this perpendicular configuration, although this one doesn't twist well, I have it parallel, and I use a 2-foot piece of pipe in the middle, so that way I get two 4-foot skeins. And so that's why I use like a super long one, because if I use the short one, then I would just end up with like really, really short 2-foot skeins, and that would not be as useful. Hello. Oh, you haven't seen? Yeah, well that's a big one. This is my more normal one that I use for like spinning and all kinds of stuff like that. But anyway, thank you everybody for joining me today through this rambling. We covered a lot of different stuff, sort of like what's just been going on in my brain. But the take home is that there's going to be more content on the ChemKnits blog, chemknits.com again coming up there. And, I think it's going to be sort of like a weekly roundup kind of thing. So maybe pick like one video from the week to talk about and share a little bit about what's currently in the dye pot from Instagram or something. It'll evolve, just like I've evolved over this almost decade of ChemKnits. I chatted a little bit about Stroll is back in stock, which is good. The less good is that some of the prices have increased, which means that some of my prices on the Chemnitz Creations Etsy store will be increasing as well. But I'm not going to be updating any of the pricing until the beginning of July. So if there's some yarn you've had your eye on, now's a good time to pick it up. You can find a link both in the video description and in the iCard. And I'm going to drop it in the chat right now. It's also, I'm going to be dropping a lot of links in the chat right now. It's also coming up on... Sorry guys, got a phone call. Don't know who it was, so I didn't answer. It's coming up on the end of the month, so if you want to become a Chemnitz patron, I've talked about it a little bit in here today. I'm going to drop the link in the chat, but it's also in the iCard and video description. If you want to be eligible for certain July rewards, including the July Patreon coupon for the Etsy store or July shoutouts in the early access video, you need to become a patron of the specific level by the end of June. And that's because starting on July 1st, Patreon processes the payments for June. And so I basically, in order to be eligible for those specific rewards, you need to already be a patron before they start, I guess, processing those fees. But if you become a patron today, you immediately get access to the June early access video because it's already published for patrons. That will become public for everybody sometime in July. You also can get access to behind the scenes sneak peeks and more stuff like that. Wait, is there an easy way to do what you're going with the yarn, please? I guess I don't quite understand this yarn in particular. I mean, I'll be filming a video, or I'm in the process of filming a video about it. So, Bertha, I don't quite understand your question. So if you could clarify, then I'd be happy to answer. To separate the yarn. Yeah, so this one's a little complicated because the two strands have twisted around each other, both from when I wound it into the ball, and basically this is a crochet chain, a really loose crochet chain of two strands of yarn. And so they just are twisted around each other. So separating them is a little harder than, for example, the commercial sock blank, which, like, one of the Knit Pick sock blanks is a lot easier for me to unravel. Maybe next time. I guess I didn't give as many sneak peeks as I thought today, but I've got this blank right here that I need to unravel, and that would be a lot easier to do. Hi! Yeah, basically I was talking about some of that stuff more in depth. What other things? Ooh, I've got some other pretties that'll be coming up. None of these are nothing I have here is in the shop yet, but sometime in July, some of the stuff should be coming in. Okay, here's a here's a cotton one that I think is really pretty. A lot more cotton will be coming into the shop soon because I dyed a ton for Cellulose Week. And I guess the final thing is that, I'd already put the shop, I guess I already said that I will have to be increasing some prices, but if you want to shop now, I already popped that link in. And then, finally, Knit Picks did increase their costs recently. Knit Picks has increased their costs recently, but Stroll is in stock, and it's still like a really affordable price. So I just popped the link, my affiliate link to Knit Picks in the chat. You can also find it in the video description. That one I can't put in the iCard because I can't. But yeah, that's another way that you can, I get credit for referring some of the sales, and then that all kind of turns back into when I place my own yarn orders. So that's sort of the way that works. I wish I don't get commissions on my own purchases, which is kind of a bummer because I don't want to tell you how much money I spend with Knit Picks every year. It's a lot, but it's the necessary canvas for all of this. So anyway, this has been long, a little rambling. Thank you for joining me. I forget if this is like Dye Pot Weekly 56, 58, something like that. So it'll be coming out. Oh wait. So yes, the Felice, you mean the Bear Felice yarn? Knit Picks recently launched Felice colors, like the self-striping yarn, the dyed colors. The Bear Felice fingering weight sock yarn base, the expected date I think is the 28th. So any day now. Any day now the Bear yarn should come back. But I can quickly make a Felice. Yeah, I really like the Felice yarn base. Oh, they have it in worsted weight too? That I did not know. You learn something new every day. Here, I'm dropping in the Felice link now. Yeah, so that should be the Felice sock yarn. Yeah, some of the new colors are really, really pretty. Actually, I showed this, so this video will be coming out soon, but I did this one in the live stream, the Resist and Glazed. Felice would be a good candidate for something like this too. As like, you could add another layer to it, which would be pretty fun. Yeah, I like to, now after doing some of this over dyeing, I'm looking at the entire stock and, I forgot! Knit Picks is, okay, so I placed an order last night and I missed this. You can get free yarn right now. I can't believe I didn't even mention this. I discovered it 30 seconds after placing my order. So it's free yarn week. And if you spend $50, you can get a skein of Alux, I guess, or Color Mist. And if you spend at least $75, you can get a free skein of Provincial Tweed or Luminescence. I cannot believe it. And I'm so mad because I could have had, I've been wanting to try, I've had actually some Alux in my cart because I was like, I've never seen this blend. Maybe I should try over dyeing it, right? I could have had a free one, and it's only $5, but yeah, I was sad. Color Mist is really, really pretty too. I haven't touched that. They're speckled cotton, but you can find all the details. The coupon codes are either free yarn 50 or free yarn 75, and you would add the coupon code and add a skein of the yarn that you want to your cart. But I'll be posting about that on Facebook later. I can't believe I was so sad, and I know I probably could have called and said hey, I forgot to add this coupon code to my cart, but I probably could have done that. But Well, but you know, it's fine. I mean, I'll probably be placing another order. Oh, I'm sure they would, but I'm not. I I think I got uh, the. I wonder if they've fixed this. I think that I might have. I got something for. I don't think they had updated the. Huh. Yeah. So you know how the Bear yarn packs are usually 15% off full price? And I guess Swish DK currently says it's 33% off full price. So I bought some of that last night. I'm not sure if this is just a really great sale or what, but so if you wanted to get a 20 pack of that. So anyway, I got what, I'm not sure if it's just the price they haven't updated or just a really special sale, but I don't feel like, I feel like I got a good deal on something. So therefore I don't need the free yarn, but I probably need to buy some more stroll. So, yeah, hold on, guys. Oh no. How do I do this? Hold on, people. What? Things. No! All right, sorry guys. Haven't had a spammer on here for a while. So anyway, yeah, so that's a really good thing. And it looks like the summer sale was supposed to have ended. I don't know if they extended it. Yeah, the summer sale was supposed to have. Oh! It goes through 7/23? Oh, I thought the summer sale ended on 6/23. So therefore I was like, the sale's still going on. I totally misread the date with that summer sale, but so there's a lot of good prices on a lot of yarn. Yeah, so there's a lot. Some of the old like Felicia colors are on clearance. Wow, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of like bear yarn that's on sale. So anyway. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and apologies about the guy. What weight was the Lindy chain? So it wasn't an early access, but that video is now public. I think it's fingering weight. Here's some Lindy chain. This is the Bear Lindy chain, which is technically a different color than the swan that I used, but it takes up dye really nicely when you're doing a less experimental technique with tulip tie-dye pens. So, but it's pretty. And yeah, well, I'll just show this whole, I know, look at all the pretty. This is one technique I did on 4 different kinds of yarn. And we've got stroll. Yeah, that's a stroll. Simply cotton fingering, Lindy chain, and then my new favorite, which is this cotton boucle, which hopefully they'll ship it soon. There'll be more on the way soon, but I just think that I love, as far as like a boucle goes, this is really like a 2-ply with 1 thin and 1 thick, and it just takes up the color. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, it's just there's a lot of fun stuff coming up, and man, I can't believe I didn't realize that the sale is going to be good for like a whole other month. That's good. Oh yeah, these ones aren't in Well, you know when these ones won't be in until the update. That yeah, if I guess another Patreon plug is if you're a patron, you can get advance notice of when a shop restock's going to happen. So I gave the date and time to patrons today. So he he he. But yeah, the thank you guys so much for joining me and dealing with all of this chatter. And I'm surprised it's been a while since like a real spammer has come onto one of these live streams, but sorry that I couldn't like get them banned fast enough. So anyway, I am gonna go do some editing, which I'm actually pretty excited about because I'm excited to go back and see how I did some of this stuff. I know I was signing off, but I had to be good. So I did, from another video, one of these is simply, oh, wait a minute. What? Okay, so anyway, one of these is Cotton, which is like a 70% cotton, 30% linen, and one is 100% organic cotton. And they feel really similar. So, and I didn't label them, but they do have different yardages, thankfully. So I did go through and I wrote down, hopefully I can figure out where I wrote it down because I counted. So since they have a different yardage, I was able to figure out which one was which, but there's almost like well, one of these is a linen blend, one of them's not. As I was dyeing them, I was like, I cannot tell which one's which. But they're both really pretty, so. Anyway, actually, they kind of match me pretty nicely. Oh, well, weighing it wouldn't help because they're both 50 grams, so, yeah. All right, anyway, I'm signing off for real. I'm gonna go do some editing. Yeah, when I did Keith was like, oh, I mean, look at this one. Look, the pink and blue. I went all in with the pink and blue. But I had a lot of. I mean, I had a whole bag of those colors because but I did share briefly some of that in one of the sneak peek. I did a sneak peek at the beginning of Silo this week. But anyway, all right. I am heading out. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And I will chat with you soon. Bye, everyone.